It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooter Archery,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Antler Action,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Adams, sitting in the redecorated cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw.
See, this is what happens when I bring over coffee and a donut and a table.
That's what happens. You got too much time on your hands.
No. This is what happens when we go and remodel. And look at this setup. You can see it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Look at this. We got a table now. We got room to put things.
Right on.
I'm not shoved in the corner.
Well,
I'm actually behind a table.
You should be shoved in a corner.
Shush.
But, but let's just get right into the meat of the show tonight, because we've got a special guest.
Yes, we do.
And who have we got tonight, Dan?
Not the one and only, probably our number one fan from Iowa, right in front of Lee and Tiffany.
Right. They're fans, huh?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
All right. I've heard through the grapevine that they're steady listeners of the show, but there's no better than Charles Byrum out in Iowa. Hey, Charles.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
You know what? Actually, we're not doing too bad, because today wasn't too bad a temperature out there.
Maybe for you. I was up north.
Well,
it was snowing.
Yeah, well, I wasn't up north. I was south.
What's the temperature out there in Iowa right now, Charles?
Right now, it is 41 degrees.
So he's got a little warmer weather than
it's
what
warmer
we've got.
than here.
Any snow left on the ground out that way?
Oh, no, just it piled up on the side of the road. There's a little bit, but other than that, it all melted. We had a good snow come in a couple days ago, and the next day it was 50 degrees or 55 degrees, and it went away real quick.
Okay, so you guys are getting about that same weather. Obviously, what we get down here in southern Michigan a little bit before we do. But Charles, we have you on the show. We know you hunt deer, you turkey, you chase a lot of critters out there in Iowa. But we've talked back and forth quite a few times, and the reason we want to get you on the show tonight is give everybody a little bit of background on, number one, what it's like to hunt in Iowa. But you actually started in California and you moved to Iowa. Talk about, first of all, California. What was it like living in California and hunting in California?
Well, I started hunting with my dad when I was probably, I don't know, I think there's pictures of me in the duck blind when I was probably 2 or 3 years old.
Right on.
And so we hunted we have property it's called the Salton Sea. It's in Imperial Valley. It's a Southern California desert.
Okay.
And there's a big sea out there, big migration spot for the ducks. So we did a lot of duck hunting. And then when I think I was 12, I started deer hunting.
Okay.
But it was great. But once I became got into my 20s and stuff, I started feeling that urge to move. I wish I didn't wait until I was disabled and 40 to do it, but
right on. So now, you said you started deer hunting when you were 12. Now, was that with a firearm or was that with a bow, or how did that all work out?
That was with rifle. That was you have to be 12 to hunt with rifle.
Okay.
For deer in California, you did at that time. I'm not sure if they changed that now.
I'm pretty sure in California they probably did something.
Right on.
Yeah, exactly. I know you can't use lead anymore out there, so.
Right on. Now,
right, you can't use lead.
What kind of deer were you chasing out there at that age?
It's in Southern California. It's a mule deer subspecies. It's not a blacktail, but it's not a big mule deer either. Okay.
Is it part of the Coos family?
Desert mule deer.
Is it part of that?
Pardon?
Is it part of the Coos deer family or no?
No, that's Coos deer's whitetail.
Okay, all right.
No, it's just a small mule deer is what it is.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So now, when you were hunting out there and you were chasing those deer, were you spotting and stalking? Were you tree stand hunting? Were you on the ground in a blind? Kind of run us through what a typical hunt would be like that back then.
A typical hunt would be get out in the morning and try to hike in the public land as far back away from the road as you possibly could in the dark, so you get away from as many hunters as possible. And then once the sun came up, you'd start spotting and stalking, really.
Okay.
So was that
everywhere?
Was that a big problem? Other hunters?
Yeah, especially on opening day and stuff like that. It was just flooded with people.
Excellent. Typical public land. We run into that in southern Michigan a little bit here. It ends up being like a little pumpkin patch on opening day.
Right on.
But
from what I hear you guys talk and stuff, it's very, very similar. The only difference is that I think, well, I don't know if you guys do it a lot, if you guys do the deer drives up there. In California, I've never seen anyone do a deer drive, per se.
No, most of the only experience I ever had with that was when I hunted one time in Alabama. They actually drove the deer with dogs. You know, it wasn't people posting and walking. It was more of running dogs, but you would post up and they would push the deer to you, do a deer drive that way.
That seems to be a lot on the type of hunter you are. Because there's some groups, that's what they do. They usually sit like the morning or something, but then they get together, then they start doing drives.
Push a section of woods.
Exactly. And I've talked to people in the upper that have done it. I was a part of a couple. People in Wisconsin do it a lot. People down in southern Michigan do it a lot. Mm-hmm. So,
but Iowa, they're very big on that here in Iowa. That's all I've ever seen.
Really? That's their number one way to hunt is push, huh?
That's the only way I've ever watched anyone hunt out here during shotgun season.
Really?
And it's I've just actually haven't even participated in it. I just would go out and watch people, and it's not something for me.
There you go. That's
I like
it.
to be out on my own.
That's it. You know, it's not for everybody, and then we've talked about this on the show, and you've heard it. Whether you're using a bow, a gun, crossbow, it's not for everyone.
Right on.
Right. Everyone has their own different preference.
So why did you pick Iowa?
Well, my wife, her family is from here. Her mom's side of her family.
Okay.
And we have been back here a few times, visiting and whatnot, and during the summer always. So it was always real nice when we came out. Didn't know how cold it got, but
you live and learn. How long you been out in Iowa now?
We are going on our 4th year here now.
Are you used to the cold yet?
Actually, I am a lot more used to it. Like right now, it's 41. When we first moved here, if it was 41, I'd have a jacket on, but now just a shirt. You know, I have got a lot more used to it. I don't think I'll ever get totally used to it, though, by any means.
After we roll through a winter here,
right?
After we roll through a winter here and it's cold, when it hits 41, we're running and t-shirt and shorts.
Pretty near, yeah.
It feels so warm. I mean, it hit 45, 50 degrees middle of the week, and I was like, wow, this feels great. It's so nice out and warm out. But then we get to the summertime, if it drops down into the low 50s, we're freezing to death. So it's all perspective, I guess.
Right, yeah. So. And one thing Charles likes to do, he likes to take pictures.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, he likes to take pictures. And matter of fact, what he's done is he sent me some of those pictures, and I've started posting those on our website in the photo section.
Okay, so make sure you guys go over and check that out so you can see what he's after out there in Iowa.
Right, and it's a beautiful thing. You know, his first picture is a cornstalk.
Cornstalk.
Growing out of a sidewalk.
Okay. That happens there.
So
corn is everywhere here.
So you just kind of get the start of Iowa. Iowa equals corn.
Right.
And it's growing up out of the sidewalk, so that sounded perfect for the first picture.
There you go.
So I posted a few over there, and every so often I'm going to be adding more and more to that. So just want to let you know, Charles, we got you up on the website, and like we talked about, so they can see your photography from Iowa.
Now,
perfect. That's awesome.
Now, you talked about, you've been there for about 4 years now. When you left California to come over there, what some people probably don't know unless they follow you on Facebook, you've got a problem with your feet that does hamper your hunting a little bit. Did that start over in California, or did that happen here recently?
Yeah, that started in California. That started probably started having problems at least about 10 years ago.
Okay.
With it, and it just kept building and building, and so I guess it would be about 5 years ago. I had my foot operated on. I had plantar fasciitis.
Okay. And
the surgery didn't go well. Tendon got cut, and it ended up making me permanently disabled. So once that happened, we really had to start looking into, thinking about where we could move and stuff, where the cost of living was a lot cheaper, and I wanted to be somewhere where I didn't have to drive so far. We lived in San Diego, so our property was in the desert. That's 3 hours away. California gas prices are, outrageous. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to move somewhere, and we loved Iowa. So wanted to move somewhere where I can literally go out my back door and be able to go hunting, without having to really travel anywhere. And
right on.
Um,
I hate to keep going back to California a little bit, but the thing that intrigues me so much, I've never really talked to anybody that's hunted out there. You're the first person I've ever talked to that's has an experience of actually hunting in that state. And you mentioned gas prices and traveling and things of that nature. Is it expensive to hunt in California? I mean, does your tag prices are they high compared to other states or not?
Yeah, they are high. I actually bought, when I moved here, I ended up, I had to wait 6 months or whatever it was, and then I bought a 3-year license, and my 3-year license here was cheaper than my 1-year license there.
Wow.
Wow, that sums up California.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's quite a bit cheaper here. And when I left there, I think the last time I haven't deer hunted out there since before, I started having the problems with my feet. So the last time I bought a deer tag out there, I want to say that, you're pushing like close to $50 or something for a deer tag. You're only allowed 2 deer tags. Well, there again, I have to go back to when I was hunting. And,
right, exactly.
Here in Iowa, a deer tag is roughly $28 for your first tag. And then once you buy a doe tag, you can buy as many doe tags as you want, basically, for about $13 a piece after you buy that initial tag.
So they're the state out there. Now, is that across the state, or is that mainly in your area there, the area that you hunt, where they have unlimited for the doe tags?
Well, each county has they have a limit on how many does that you can say, a quota on how many doe tags they sell. So my particular county is Cass County, and you're allowed. They'll sell 400 tags in Cass County.
Okay.
But I'm also bordered by, just within 15, 20 minutes, I can hit 3 different counties and get tags for those counties, and it just depends on how many tags
okay.
what their quota is. So, like I say, I've never had trouble purchasing a doe tag.
Imagine that, selling doe tags by counties.
Yeah, you know what? Iowa does a really good job, I think. Well, and I'm only comparing it to California, really. So everyone's probably going to do a little bit better than California. But Iowa does a really good job on managing their herd.
Ohio does the same thing. They do it by county as well.
Yeah, their DMUs are set up by county.
Yep, exactly. So,
and here in southern Michigan, we're kind of set up that way generally. It's by the counties. Until you get up into like where I'm at.
Yep.
Then you've got issues with the tuberculosis in the deer, and that's a bigger DMU.
Right, exactly.
And then where you're at, you can't even hunt those.
Yeah, I can't hunt those, so let's not talk about that.
Yeah, that's crazy to me that they just cut off the whole section. California is kind of the same thing. You could put in for a lottery and maybe draw a doe tag. You might be able to get a doe on archery tag. I'm not sure exactly on that anymore. But they're kind of broken up into, the whole state isn't set. They're broken up into different zones, but it's not monitored very well. And even if they broke it up into counties, San Diego, Los Angeles, Riverside counties are so huge, they still wouldn't be able to manage properly like Iowa does. They would really need to break it up a little bit better there in California.
Different mindset.
Their biggest deal is they're always fighting against, the left or the antis.
The antis?
If you want to call it. Yeah.
We've got lots of names for them.
They cater to them. They let the antis rule the roost, and so the DNR, or out there it's California Fish and Game, they have their hands tied, and I don't want to say, even with their hands tied, well, I will say they do a crappy job.
Right on. Yeah. Right. Well, we're seeing that. Like we live here in Michigan, we have issues here as well. It's not so much the antis; it's just where the DNR is. They're trying to get their. I think they're trying to start to get their heads wrapped around it a little bit. And we've been talking to a few of the guys, and they're starting to turn in that direction. It's just I don't know how long it's going to take, but
right,
you're seeing these other states like Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, where these, you got typical big buck places to hunt, Kentucky, Missouri, and Kansas, and they're seeing all of these hunters leave. Well, one of the guys that we hunt with up at our place, he doesn't hunt in Michigan anymore.
No, he doesn't.
Because of the way it's managed.
And I don't blame him after seeing the deer that he took out in Missouri.
It's, if you're going to hunt and that's what you're after is trophy bucks, then you're going to go where they're at. And this state needs to get back into that mode. So
that's one thing I've learned from, like, you guys, listening to your guys' show. By the way, thank you guys, too, because you guys have really helped me adapt to the Midwest.
To the cold?
yeah. But no, just, getting an idea of what the Midwest living and everything, you guys have really helped me.
Well, thank you.
Listening to you guys also has opened my eyes to a lot of different hunting styles and everything like that as well. I was kind of set in my ways. I didn't like certain things. I think I talked to you about it before, Mike, about I didn't like, shooting at running deer and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
Yeah, I kind of let go on that and just, try to accept that everyone has their different ways. No way is really better than the other. As long as you go after, pursue your game, get it, do whatever you can to put it, bag it,
Yeah, as long as you're proficient at it and you practice that method, long distance archery. I know there's a lot of guys out there that'll scream about it, but when you got guys that can consistently shoot, 50 to 100 yards and put it in the 10 ring. I mean, literally. I mean, we've seen people do this on a consistent basis, and it's like, would I do it? No, there's no way I would because I'm not that good.
You wouldn't do it right off the bat, but if you practice it and you became proficient at it, then you would say, you know what, I'll give it a whirl. But you're right, and that's the one thing.
And working in the outdoors has taught us that. We've run into a lot of people who have opened our eyes to a lot of things, and that's the things that we like to try to pass on. Is because the way we hunt here in southern Michigan or northern Michigan is not the way everybody across the nation hunts. I mean, there's so many different ways. So absolutely,
and that's one of the things that we found just talking with people, right?
Absolutely.
And the best thing we do is we just listen.
Yeah, that's all you can do, and then try to open your mind a little bit and and go from there. But I tell you what, we're running up on our first break. Let's take our first break. We're going to step outside. We'll keep the live stream going here on Facebook. We'll come back and we'll start the second segment. So we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back, second segment of the show. Man, we just had a cool little conversation here behind the scenes in the break.
Again, we weren't recording.
So
I kind of like this new setup. I got room back here, and
you're stretched out, man.
Dude, this is kind of nice. I'm liking
if you put your feet up, I'm taking that chair away. We're no recliners.
As long as you can't see my feet in the shot, I'm good.
Yeah, because we could see them before.
Right, and I'm kind of worried about that. So hopefully you can't see them. So,
but interesting conversation in the break.
Well, yeah, we had an interesting conversation in the break. We talked about this in a previous show about when that occurs in a hunter, when they kind of change their mindset.
You turn that corner, and you change something.
I want to say it's an evolution of a hunter.
Yeah, you're no longer just that meat gatherer or hunting for the sport of it or whatever, you become, like Charles, like you said, a conservationist. What turned those wheels in your mind?
Actually, it was moving here to Iowa and listening to you guys, listening to the Big Buck Registry. It started to open my eyes. I always thought that because I went out, I hunted for meat, and, ate everything I shot, which I basically still do unless it's a varmint or something, but I thought I'm better than a trophy hunter.
Right.
Well, once I started opening my mind up, anyone that would talk to me now would probably think I'm a trophy hunter, but I'm not. I'm hunting mature, big deer, and it's more of a conservationist attitude than just being, go out and if it's brown, it's down type attitude.
Right.
I want the herd to stay healthy. I go out, I put out minerals and stuff, cut trees and everything so that they have places to bed, and I do a lot of that for my hunting purposes, but I also care about what happens to the animals in the winter and stuff like that. I want them to be healthy. Like I said, you might think I'm a trophy hunter, but in a sense I am, because I'm going after mature deer, but I think because of that, the deer population stays healthier. I think if more people got on board with that, you wouldn't see on Facebook where you see that person say, there ain't no deer around, or I can't find, it's all shot out, or whatever. Well, yeah, it's all going to be shut out if you go kill the first thing you see.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from. Now, where you're hunting at there, are you hunting private land, I assume, then, or not?
I hunt. Right now, I'm sitting in my Suburban, right where I shot my first deer in Iowa, and it's a little piece of public land that's about 5 minutes away from my house.
Okay. All right. So you're actually sitting outside right now in your vehicle.
Yeah.
How cool
I
is
just had
that?
some hawkers fly over too a few minutes ago.
Very nice.
Cool.
Very nice.
And what nobody knows is he's all showery clean.
That's right.
Yeah, I am. After I leave here, I got to go plan a bachelor party, so I had to hurry up and jump in the shower. My wife told me you guys called and were laughing.
Yeah, we were laughing. Never been stood up by a guy in the shower before.
He wanted to make sure he was clean for the podcast.
Exactly. So that's good. But yeah, so you're hunting a little bit of both here, private and public, and you're just trying to make sure that you've got years to come of a healthy herd.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, probably like 80% of my hunting is on private. I do go out. I'm out scouting probably every day, and probably talking every other week to at least one landowner trying to get permission.
Okay.
How's that going?
Secure the ideal spots. I figure I get permission on 3 out of 10 places.
Wow.
The only problem is a lot of the places that give you permission also give other people permission. And
Okay.
I am trying to find places where nobody else is hunting, so it's more difficult, but I'm plugging away at it.
You want to become the sole hunter of the property.
That would be nice.
Do you find out there, to get a situation like that, would that have to be a lease, do you think?
Well, I don't have a lot of money, so it won't be for my situation.
Gotcha.
I think you could probably do it easier if you came down and leased the property.
Okay.
The only problem with that is if you're leasing a property, like say you're out of state, Iowa's super hard for out-of-staters to get into.
Right, I've heard that.
Mm-hmm. You got to wait a couple years, so I don't know how affordable it is for people to really do that.
Yeah,
I don't see a lot of leased land out here, really.
A buddy
Not
of
in my
mine.
area. Now, if you go over to eastern Iowa, I'm in southwest Iowa.
Okay.
If you go over to the eastern side, I think there's more of that going on over there.
Okay. Yeah, a buddy of mine, he tried to lease a piece of property, and they wanted a 2-year lease on it. And he says, well, I only draw a tag every 3 years. So that was the issue. And he's like, I can't afford to lease a piece of property to hunt one time in 3 years.
Right, exactly.
So I understand what you're coming from on that. So now the property, like you're talking about managing, putting out minerals and cutting trees and making bedding areas and things like that. Is that your own property, or is that a piece of property you hunt that somebody allows you to do that?
That's property that people allow me to do that on.
Okay, I got you. Do you do any food plots at all?
I'll go in and I'll talk to them, and I'll tell them what I'm going to do, and ask them actually what I'm going to do and what I want to do, and some are okay with it. Some they just want the deer gone, so they don't want me doing anything to improve the property. I've actually lost a property because I stuck a coyote on it, and the lady was mad because I killed a deer killer.
Okay, I understand that mindset from their perspective. I take it was probably a farmer who had property that they were harvesting grain off of.
Yeah, yes. Every farm out here harvests either soybeans or corn.
Beans or corn. Okay, there's not really many cattle farms or anything like that. It's more of actually growing crops.
There's some cattle. There's a feedlot right next to where I'm at right now, but there's pasture and everything. But the pasture is like really third or fourth down the list compared to the beans, the corn, and
so they want the deer gone because they're eating their cash crops, and they don't care how it's done. They want the deer off there, whether it's you or coyote.
A lot of them want them gone because they get tired of running into them.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. And they become a little bit of a nuisance when they're bumping off your bumpers.
Right on.
So that's the problem, is people driving into them, and also the deer coming and eating their fields up and everything. So
right.
So how did you do last season?
I got a nice buck. I got a nice 8 point. He was a deer that I had seen the year before and passed on, and he came up this year and walked under my stand, and I probably watched him for like 5 minutes and trying to decide whether or not I wanted to stick him. And I looked at him and I just thought, I think he lost kind of a little mass from the year before, and it was nice and warm day out, and I thought it's just going to keep getting colder, and so I went ahead and put my tag in him.
Right on.
Yeah, it made up your mind for you. Now, what'd you shoot him with?
With my bow. I shot him with my compound bow. I have a little mission riot that I really like, and took him. It was the first time I took a deer out of a tree.
No kidding. Okay.
So that was kind of cool.
Right.
Usually I hunt on the ground. I don't hunt in trees that much because of my foot problems. I don't like to sit up there for very long.
Mm-hmm.
I get if I get any cold or sit still too long, my foot starts hurting. So I can't sit a lot of time up there.
Yeah, you talked.
He walked out and I stuck him and he took off running and I saw where he went. I thought he took off out of the brush and went into a cornfield that was still standing. And so I waited an hour. I had a couple other deer walk underneath me, and it was just a real nice, perfect evening. And went down there and started looking for blood, and I could not find blood anywhere. Nowhere. I walked back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Couldn't find no blood. Finally, I just happened to see him piled up. It was dark. I shined the light, saw white, and he was piled up. And to this day, I have no idea why no blood came out of that deer, but he died within 80 yards, luckily.
No kidding.
Was there an exit wound?
No, it went... I was up high. I was up on the bluff in a tree, so I was probably actually about 60 feet up in the air above him. And so I shot down. I didn't get a pass through, but he went and rolled somewhere and broke the arrow off, and on his way to that corn. And but I couldn't find where he rolled. I still never saw any blood.
Huh.
It just somehow. It killed him, but it just didn't leave no blood trail. I'm lucky I found him.
Right.
Sometimes a little bit of luck goes a long ways.
Absolutely.
Probably with a downward angle like that, he had to fill up first.
Mm-hmm. Now you talked about you thought his mass regressed a little. Did you have that deer aged? Did you figure out how old he was?
No, you don't have to turn deer in here. As a matter of fact, when I took him down to a meat locker that is licensed. And,
right.
And they just signed him in, cut off his head for me, and when the tag was on his head, they didn't even keep the tag there, and sent it back. There was there's no like turning him in. And then when I got home, I just called on the phone. Actually, I called on the phone before I took him to the meat locker.
Okay, so you do have a mandatory deer check then. You just do it over the phone.
Yeah, you can just do it over the phone. Now, I wasn't used to that at all. In California, you have to check them in.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get a game warden to sign off on your ticket.
Okay.
Or, like I said, at least I did back when I was hunting deer.
Did you think he was an old deer after you shot him and looked at him?
I am torn on it. I thought that he was close to 5 when I was looking at him in the tree, and then when I got him, he looks like 3 or 4. I'm guessing he was 4.
Okay. All right.
I didn't want to shoot him if he was 3, but I think last year when I saw him, he was at least 3.
Okay.
But you kind of turn him one way and look at him in the face, it looks young. Turn him the other way, he looks old.
Right.
So it would be a good one. It would be interesting to go. I still have his head and everything. I should go take in
and check the jawbone. Yeah, if you've got anybody that scores them, or not score, but like a QDMA chapter nearby or something, somebody that knows how to age deer, it'd be interesting to have them age the jawbone. Yeah,
you should be able to send in a tooth too.
Yeah, they can do it that way too.
You can. I know in Michigan you can send a tooth in.
And they can age them.
They can age them for you.
Okay. So now, was that the first deer that you had actually passed on and let go to grow older, or had that happened before?
Oh no! I've passed on a lot. The very first deer I had a run-in with, the very first buck I had a run-in with, I passed on. I was sitting in a pop-up blind and texting my cousin that is from here. Actually, my wife's cousin. Well, my cousin too, by marriage. But texting him, and because he was in the military, so he was excited for me being out hunting and trying to live through my experience. And we're texting back and forth, and all of a sudden, here's the biggest deer that I had ever seen, standing about 15 yards away from me, kind of looking at me. And I couldn't move. He was looking right in the window at me, and I text my cousin, and I said, "There's like an 8-point staring at me right now." And he's you hear the text or see the text come back, shoot, and then, but I couldn't move, so the deer wandered off, and without me getting a shot. And then I'm telling my cousin, I'm kind of excited. It's the biggest deer, compared to California. This deer was huge,
right?
And all of a sudden, the deer comes back, and I text my cousin and said he's back. And all of a sudden, instead of shoot going across my phone, I get a text saying, "Don't shoot, he's young." And knowing what I know now, he was probably a year and a half old.
Okay.
Nice size 8-pointer. Well, decent for that age, 8-pointer, but he was just young. He was like crawling into the blind with me. He was just curious about what I was, he's
right.
Young and doing what young bucks do. And so that was the very first deer that I passed on. And ever since then, I usually pass on a buck every week, really, every time I go out.
Well, being the first time, or the first time you had to make the decision by yourself, you said they texted you back and said don't shoot because it was a young one. But the first couple times, was that hard to do in your mind to justify why you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah, that was really hard to do because I grew up brown and down type deal,
Right.
To me, it was just putting, you're going out. And part of it was being in California. You don't get a lot of chances. I see more deer on the way to the grocery store here than I would see a whole season in California.
Right.
That's a big part of it. So, our deal there was, if you see antlers, you shoot it and put it in the freezer so you can get another chance. Right.
Well, I'll tell you, we're bumping up here on our second break, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll step outside. We come back. We'll continue the conversation here with Charles out in Iowa. So we're going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
We know the future of hunting depends on our nation's youth. But did you know that in many states, it's illegal for you to take your son or daughter hunting until the age of 12 or even older? As a result, we have fewer young hunters. And the Families Afield program is designed to eliminate those barriers. Hunting is safe, and the safest hunters afield are young people with adult mentors. Visit our website at familiesafield.org to find out how you can bring more families afield.
Welcome back to the segment of the show. Still talking with Charles out in Iowa. we've talked about hunting in California. We've talked about deer hunting in Iowa. But, Charles, you're no one-trick pony here. You hunt more than deer, obviously. I've heard a couple stories about turkey, and you said you got a lot of other things going on in Iowa right now. We're getting ready here in Michigan. We've put in for our tags here for Michigan turkey season. Kind of run down a little bit. Where did you get the turkey hunting bug at? Was it in California or was it out in Iowa?
It was in Iowa, definitely. California does have a big population of turkey now, but mostly you have to know someone and get on private land out there to get them. I know there is people that get them on public land out there, but it's few and far in between. And I just didn't get into it out there. When I moved here, there's a lot of turkey around, so that was something I always wanted to do, and I totally turkey hunt now. I probably have like 10 turkey decoys for some reason, but I buy stuff on sale. So.
Right. Well, what was it like the first time you went turkey hunting with somebody and you heard that first gobbler? I mean, did it just make the hair in the back of your neck stand up and just get you all tingly?
Oh yeah, it definitely did. I was actually by myself, and I probably hunted a couple days. Yeah, I had hunted like 3 or 4 days, and was getting eluded pretty good. Not really having a whole lot of idea other than just watching and people on YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff, and talking to people about it. And but you really don't have to know what you're doing to get a turkey to gobble back at you. You make a little chirping noise, and they like to gobble. It doesn't mean they're going to come in by any means, but
right.
Yeah, it definitely got my blood pumping hearing them things go off. And luckily, like I said, 3 or 4 days later, after the very first time going out, I was able to stick a turkey.
Nice. Now, do you what's your preferred method? Do you like to sit and call and have them come to you, or do you like to call, locate them, and then go after them?
I'm not very mobile, so I do a lot of sitting and calling.
Okay.
What I like to do is I like to scout it out, find where they're roosting, and then hopefully get close to their roost and set up where they'll come to me, where they don't have to travel far.
Right.
Now you're hooked.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely hooked. Yeah, there's nothing like having one of them, gobble and start strutting around and all that good stuff.
Favorite type of call?
Oh no, like I said, so far, my experience is they're dumb enough to come to any kind of noise I'm making that I have no preference.
Do you use a box call, a pot call, or a mouth call?
The first one I took, I was using a mouth call.
Okay.
I do have a box call. Last year I didn't get one, but I did have them come into the box call last year for whatever reason.
They'll come into anything.
Yeah, I think they do. Now, I'm hunting private property, too, so the places that I do turkey hunt, I am lucky on, and there is no other pressure, so I know it's going to be different if I go out to public land. I know they're going to be a lot more wary and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a given.
It makes a big, big difference. Definitely does.
Yeah. And that's like anything on public land,
Well, and plus, I don't know how you have it over in Iowa, but here, depending on what week you have, you don't know what hunter has been in your area the previous week or the few weeks before if you're going later. That's why I tend to try to go the first week because at least I think I know I'm the only one around.
You hope.
That would be smart. If I was gun hunting, that's what I would do. But I just bow hunt them. I can get 2 turkey tags, and I think my season is like, I don't know, it goes from April to May or something like that. It's quite a long season.
And you're allowed 2 birds?
Yep, allowed 2 birds.
Okay.
Now, is it easy for anybody to get a tag at that point? Resident, non-resident?
Non-resident is like deer hunting. You have to. It's not easy as far as I know. You have to put in an application. Now, I did send a link to you guys, or I did email you guys, and I didn't get a chance to actually read it. That they were going to give they were approving more turkey tags this year for non-residents. So you might be able to get a non-resident turkey tag. I think they expanded the number of tags for turkey for non-resident.
Well, that's a good thing for non-resident.
So there you go,
Yeah,
Danny.
I sent that to you guys in an email.
Yeah, we saw that before we came on the show, and we were looking at that, and I saw that increased amount for non-resident to get out there. Now, April, May time frame, is it a typical spring weather out there?
Yeah, typical spring for Iowa is typical spring weather. It's, cold, rainy one day and warm and humid the next.
I hear you. That's like Michigan. You can have it one day snowing, and the next day you're in the 80s.
No kidding. Right on.
Sweating in the blind. Yep. So,
Speaking of 80s, I think it was like 90. I was talking to a guy in Kansas yesterday, and I think Friday it was like 90 degrees down there, he was saying.
Welcome to wacky weather, right?
Right.
Now, switching gears just a little bit, I already know the answer to this, but I kind of want to lead you into a direction here. When people think of Iowa, they think big state, flat, corn, not a lot of woodlots, not a lot of streams, rivers, lakes, like we have here in the Great Lakes region. But we were talking a little while back here, I think it was the first break or second break, can't remember which, and you said you guys are getting ramped up for snow goose season. So you got snow geese that are starting to migrate back through, coming back?
There's a few, but I've been talking to some guys down in Missouri, and the geese are starting to push up from Arkansas. They're coming into Missouri now, and I've seen a few little flights of, I guess it's the adults kind of moving up north. But yeah, I got friends out here that are getting excited about snow geese coming.
Okay, so do you mainly hunt them on the migration, the waterfowl, or do you have like waterfowl areas that you can hunt, local population of waterfowl? There's not very good waterfowl in here, really, except for the geese. There's a lot of good hunting for, the Canada geese and the snow geese, but ducks there's hardly any ducks here. I couldn't believe it. If we took like part of this agriculture and put it in California, it'd be on. But right on. Yeah, you'd think that with all that grain out there, that there would be some ducks coming through that area as well.
I can't believe it. You'll see flooded corn here, and there won't be a thing on it. I think what happens is they fill up on food in the Dakotas and Minnesota and stuff, and then once it gets cold a little bit, they just push on through. They pass Iowa and hit Missouri and Arkansas.
Okay.
So they
fly right on by.
Right. Interesting.
But the geese, they do get geese here, and they still don't get the geese stopping quite as much here as Missouri. They do the same thing. They'll come up to Missouri into southern Iowa, and then they'll start pushing up into Dakota or Minnesota, or depends on what's on the eastern side there over by you guys, I guess.
It's interesting, different regions, how same animals we see act so much different.
Oh, yeah,
and the way you hunt them is so different. That's the intriguing thing about talking, like to you out there in Iowa, how different it is compared to here in Michigan. We're so used to seeing certain things, and you guys are used to seeing certain things out there that we don't have over here as well. So yeah, it's really
and it's like California. I thought for sure Iowa would be a better place to duck hunt than California, but California is way better. I guess just because it's at the end of the flyway out there,
right?
And they all push down there. We even have a different species of snow geese out there. Our snow geese out there come from China and Russia.
Okay.
And so I don't know if they have increased the limits on snow geese, but out there or not. But for the longest time, you didn't have the conservation order on the snow geese out there like you do here.
Right. Okay.
Location.
That's it.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's location.
And that's one of the things, like we talked about, a difference in how you see things from California to New York to Minnesota down to, Texas.
Right.
Size of deer, different birds. It's all different, and it's really neat to talk to different people across the country and find out, what they're... But here we find out, the bottom line is, he's a conservationist, in turn, just helping out the game.
Right on. Well, and that's what we hope to all aspire to be, truthfully. If
yes, exactly.
If we can all get into that same mindset, whether we have different hunting styles, different land management styles, whatever that is, as long as we're traveling that same direction, trying to do the right thing, generally speaking, we might hit off the guardrails left or right a little bit, but as long as we're heading that same general direction, I'm good with that. So.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's take our last break, and hang on that thought real quick. We'll come back. We got a couple what we like to call shotgun questions we like to throw at our guests on the show, so we'll pick your brain a little bit more here. So we're going to step outside and take our last break, and we'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet.
I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back, everybody. Last segment of the show. Charles, it's come to that point in the show where Danny and I like to just kind of blast a couple quick questions at you and kind of get your thoughts on a couple things.
And he's a good listener, so he knows what's coming.
Yeah. Well, actually, I got a new one.
Oh, you got a new one?
I do have a new one that I want to throw at you. We're going to start right off the bat with, when you went to Iowa, what is the one thing that you didn't, for the outdoors and hunting, that you didn't expect or that really shocked you, that just grabbed your attention, like, wow, I didn't expect that, or wow, that's different, I never would have thought of that?
I think it had to be the deer drive. The Orange Army kind of threw me off. I never seen anything like that before.
Okay.
The wave of deer hunters marching across like they were pheasant hunting, to this day, it still throws me off every time I see it.
Okay, fair enough. You want to see a real Orange Army, you ought to come up here to Michigan and just watch them driving on 75 North, heading out of southern Michigan. Every other car's got orange in it.
And I have no idea why I don't have no idea why people love to wear their orange driving north.
They do. It's almost like a badge of honor.
It's a pumpkin driving the car.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on that note, it just made me think. Okay, people here in Michigan, we're going up north. In Iowa, when you're going hunting to wherever that camp, do you guys have an up north, or do you have a down south, or do you? I'm just going camp to camp, or what do you guys call it?
I haven't heard anyone refer to it as anything. People don't like to travel here. They don't.
They stay tight. Okay.
You talk to someone about going. I go to my doctor's visits. I go every month over to Omaha, Nebraska.
Uh-huh.
And if I tell someone here, I got to go to Council Bluffs or Omaha. Oh, you're going to the city. You're going to the big city.
Going to the city, okay. Well, that makes sense, though, because it's such a rural area. That does make sense.
Yeah.
See, when he does that, he stops at his local Cabela's.
There you go. You got to like that, too.
Right. Yep, I got to get back over there on the 23rd, too. I was going to stop there when I picked up my wife. My wife's plane got in early on Thursday, and I didn't get a chance to stop by there. But I go back on the 23rd, and I will definitely be stopping in there.
There you go. So obviously you were shocked by the deer drives. Nobody wants to move in Iowa and go anywhere, but you did manage to get some game. And when you prepare it, what's your favorite recipe that your go-to recipe for whatever it is?
For deer, I really like chicken frying the deer. I like to just, slice it thin, put it in flour, and fry it in a little olive oil. That's one of my favorite ways. Now, we do a lot of different things. I get a lot of it now. So, we make hamburgers. Sometimes we just are lazy and do hamburger helper. We make some great pot roast with it, and it's so versatile. We'll even take leftover roast and shred the meat and put it and make enchiladas out of it. That's one of my favorite as well.
There you go.
Leftover, turn it into enchiladas. It's so versatile. You can do anything with it. But my absolute favorite is probably just chicken frying it.
All right. And have you had time to make summer sausage?
No, I have not. I was all ready to, and then I have not had a chance to make summer sausage. I did have some made, and it came out okay when I had my deer process. But that's another thing too. In California, I always process my own deer. But here, it's $100, and you really can't beat having it done for you. So it's kind of nice. So I haven't done my own deer yet here, but I did have, like I said, some made, and it came out pretty good. But I really want to tell you a recipe. As a matter of fact, I have some goose breasts in my freezer that I'm
now that I want to know how that comes out.
Yeah,
I've heard two different stories on that.
Yes,
I've heard one guy that made some, and it was the best thing since sliced bread. And then I've heard other people say, "Oh, it's horrible." And I think it's probably the recipe, number one, and who's making it. But yeah, it'd be really interesting. Let us know how that turns out for you, definitely.
Oh, I will, for sure.
So we know what your favorite chicken fry venison is. So the other question we always have is, you're heading out to your stand, and what's your go-to snack that you have in your backpack that you always take with you out in the woods?
I like to take peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They're nice and quiet, and they're soft, and they ain't nothing that's going to alert the deer.
Especially peanut butter.
Like my go-to. Yep, peanut butter for sure.
See,
it's always keeping it in mind the loudness of the activity you're doing, or whatever you're eating, so it's not spook game. Interesting call.
I like it.
Yep.
And he probably cuts the crust off all the way around.
Do you?
Yeah, my wife does that for me.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, see, and that's one of the things. That's a good call, because I'm kind of the same way. I like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches myself, but you can't beat a Kit Kat.
On that same mind thought process there of taking something out with you, what's the one thing you've got to have in your backpack that you will not leave home without, whether you're bow hunting or rifle hunting?
Besides your license.
Well, in my backpack or on my person?
Either or, just something that you always take with you, and it may not be anything that's, that anybody would really think of, but, for you, it's the one thing that you got to have. You always got to make sure you've got that one thing.
It's called a P38. It's a can opener.
Ah, okay, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Got to have that. So there's a little story behind that if you want to hear it.
Yeah, we got time.
Okay, I was in California. I had hiked probably a good 5 miles back in, and it was a Tuesday after opening day of the deer season, and it was more of kind of just a scouting deal for me.
Okay.
I just wanted to get back there and see if I could find some deer. Then it was a serious hunt. I got back there in the afternoon and had hiked in as fast as I could and wanted to just look around. Well, I had a doe tag, and came across a nice big doe and took her, harvested her, and that's when I realized I didn't have a knife with me. And here I am 5 miles back with a deer that I can't gut, and I have to carry out on my shoulders. And so I took out that P38, and I was able to get her cut open enough with it where I was able to gut her. So after that, every time that P38 goes with me.
Very nice.
Improvising.
Yeah, improvise with what you have. That's a great story. I mean, it probably wasn't great for you at the time, but I mean, it's just something to think about. When you're caught, you improvise.
Yep.
I remember.
Yeah, you got to. It's a long ways to carry a deer out, anyways, from out there. So.
Yeah.
And it was still a pain because usually I usually cut the legs off and stuff when, if I had a knife, but
right.
It took a while to get out of there, but
do what you had to do to make ends meet and get out. Yep. No, great story.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Great point.
And also, we got another question, since we're just shotgunning them. You don't travel far to your hunting areas, but it sounds like you head to the big city every once in a while, and you're sitting in your truck, cruising along. What kind of tunes you listening to?
I used to listen to like a lot of rock and everything, but I really listen to more talk radio now. One thing, and this is something that everyone that's young out there should think about, is wear your earplugs when you're hunting. I never did, and I did a lot of duck hunting. I also worked construction all my life, and so I have pretty bad hearing. So if I'm listening to music now, I don't hear all the instruments, so it sounds garbled to me. It's not a pleasant sound when I'm listening to music. So if I do listen to music, I'm usually listening to rap now because I'm hearing more of the words in the big bass or whatever than a whole music production being put together. So I kind of like the rap and stuff, and I grew up an 80s kid, so I listen to everything, really.
Okay, right on.
There you go.
Fair enough. First time I've heard talk radio, though, from any of our guests.
Yep, absolutely.
Interesting.
But you know what?
I listen to a lot of talk radio.
I'm sometimes when I'm driving to work, sometimes I do the same thing. Try to find somebody that's talking as opposed to music. But then again, there's other times I flip it.
Yeah, mine's mostly sports talk when I'm listening to talk radio. It's mostly sports.
Yeah, that's mostly mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite teams in the pro sports?
Well, it used to be the San Diego Chargers, but now they're no more in San Diego, so I haven't decided if I'm going to keep following them or not. And then the Padres, and I'm still bitter about the Tigers and Padres. So.
I was just going to say, 1984?
He's still
That's
bitter.
why you brought that up, bastard.
Hey, tell you what, he's still bitter about it. Hey, I tell you, some people just can't get over it.
Right. Hey, we had to wait a long time for that series, man.
Yeah, we did.
We're still waiting for another one, so.
Well, I'm still waiting for one.
Right. I give you that. Do you follow hockey or basketball or anything like that?
Yeah, my favorite teams are the L.A. Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay, yeah. Right on. Okay, fair enough.
I have some wins by those guys, so yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool.
My wife's dad really loved hockey, so that's kind of how me and him bonded a lot of times, was watching hockey.
Okay.
Got him fishing. We did a lot of fishing together. So
very cool.
Did it smart. Got him to like what he liked, so he wouldn't throw you overboard when he was fishing with him.
Right. Exactly. He was a lot bigger than me.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Well, Charles, it's been great talking with you. We're going to let you go here, and we know you got plans for the night. You got some stuff that you need to do, so we're going to cut you loose. But we'll get you on to get here and carry on a conversation at some other point in time. But we really thank you for taking an hour out of your night, sitting down and talking with us.
Hey, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
And thanks for being a listener.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever get over this way, we'll go to a Tiger game.
Sounds good.
All right, man. You take care now.
All right, you too.
All right, folks. We're going to continue on and wrap up the show here.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. It was always good
talking with Charles.
Absolutely. And you know what? It just goes to show you, he had a little disability. Kind of sounded like an oops.
Yeah,
the doctor,
but didn't keep him out of the woods.
It didn't keep him out of the woods. He ended up moving to somewhere where he's just. It sounds like he's really enjoying himself immensely.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, how cool would that be to be able to move from a place and go to a place where you want to go to hunt and move to that place? You know,
that would be awesome. So,
but no, it's a different lifestyle in Iowa. A lot slower, more laid back. A lot different style of hunting. That's what's great about talking with people across the United States.
And that's why I find it interesting. Like we said, excuse me, just the difference in mentalities.
Absolutely.
Everybody hears us talk about what we have here in our 3 different zones.
Right.
But this is like state to state to state.
Right.
And he's got 2 states.
He has 2 states of experience. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But no. Other than that, it's business as usual here in Michigan. I was up north this weekend doing my thing up there. So.
Right, and next week we're going to be at the Deer and Turkey in Lansing.
I got a story from up north, and there's just not enough time to tell this story.
Oh, don't forget it. We'll bring it up.
We'll bring it up next week. But I got some video of it, and actually, I'm going to try to cut this a little bit together that I shot with my phone, and I'll try to get it on Facebook this week.
Right, and we'll talk about it when we can in the next show or two.
So, but we're going to be at Deer and Turkey in Michigan,
We're
Lansing.
going to be hanging out at Lansing. This weekend, I was up at the Birch Run for their hunting and fishing show.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to Nick Percy. When we're in Lansing, we'll try to sit down with him and talk with him. He wants to talk frost seeding.
Frost seeding, okay. Nick Percy from
Killer Food Plots.
Gotcha.
Yep, he wants to talk. It's getting to be about that time to start thinking about frost seeding here.
Okay. Any more word on your logging project?
We're having discussions right now as to which bids we're going to accept.
Okay.
And then we're going to write the timber contracts.
Okay. Very cool. They started ours this last week. I was up this weekend and looked things over, and they've really just got started, but we do have trees on the ground.
Okay.
So that's going well, and we look forward to a couple good weeks of harvesting up there on the timber, and we'll see where things stand after that. And there'll be a lot of work to do. That's the thing now is like we get this cleared. Now it's time to get busy and get to work. So
get the plan together.
Yep,
right?
Start putting a plan together, get stuff planted. Probably will be next year before we do any tree planting or shrub planting or whatever kind of habitat that we do decide to put back in.
Okay.
So it's the time we have our meeting and everything. It's going to be a little late in the game, I think. We just have to kind of wait and see and judge that.
Cool.
But, it's good, man. It was good to get up north. Kind of recharge the batteries, cleanse the soil a little bit. Got out, it was snowing. Did some hiking, did a lot of hiking.
John dragged you across the property.
He drugged me around pretty good, yeah. So my legs are a little bit sore today, but it was good to get out and drive around the property, hike the property, see a couple of places that I haven't been before on the property. So it's always good to get up and kind of refocus. And the deer look good. I seen probably 15 deer yesterday in different spots on the property. And they all looked healthy.
Good.
So
that's a good thing. I know you had a little bit of a coyote issue with a little one, but you know what? It happens, right?
It happens, and that's part of that story I want to talk about and expand on that. So we're carrying that into next week.
The majority of the deer, if you're seeing them, look healthy. That's a good sign because we're going to get into the end of February here. We're getting into March. It's going to be into the critical zone of how the weather breaks.
Right. That's the thing right now. The ground still froze. Deer are starting to dig down. We've only got about 8 inches, maybe 12 inches of snow on the ground.
Okay.
It's not real hard packed. They're actually digging down looking for some stuff to eat.
All right.
So it's getting to be that, like you said, that critical time where we want to get our logging project done, then it can thaw.
Yep, exactly. And what's helping now is you're getting those trees down. Those buds will be for their.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So, we're just busy doing that and rocking on. So, I tell you what,
cool.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Just another great weekend here doing what we do.
If you're in Lansing this coming weekend, stop over at the PSE booth. Stop over and see Dan Yassa, our new PSE Michigan sales manager. He'll be there at the booth. Stop by and shoot the new bows. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday. Stop by and say hello. Make sure you check it out.
Absolutely.
So, all right, that'll do it for us this week, folks. This episode of the Up North Journal podcast was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooter Archery,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Antler Action,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.